Hello everyone and welcome back. Okay, in this tutorial what we're going to do is I am going to show you how the document object model can actually create elements in JavaScript. So we can create essentially anything we want. We could create a H2, a heading 2, we could create a heading tree, we could create a paragraph, we could even create an unordered list if we want to and add list items. So we can create elements in JavaScript. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a H tree. We will store that in a variable. We'll call it heading tree, and we will just log that out to the console. So I will say let heading tree, so it's a heading, be equal to, and how do we create an element in JavaScript? Well, we can ask the document to do it for us. We can say document dot create element. So there's a create element here, inbuilt method. And inside of parentheses, we have to pass in essentially an argument. What is it that we are looking to create? And what you'll notice is there's an awful lot of various different elements we can create. So we're going to create a H tree just for practice. So if I now save and refresh, what I want to do is I just want to log out console.log heading tree just so you can see that we've actually created a H tree in JavaScript. So what we've done here is we've used the document object model to create a H tree, and remember, a H tree is an element with both an opening and closing tag. Okay, so if I save and refresh, let's go here to the browser. So we've logged out our H tree, so that's pretty cool. So we know it exists, so we've created it here, and we know it exists because we've logged it out to the console. But what's interesting is if you inspect the elements on the page, you'll notice there doesn't seem to be any H tree there. And if I open up the body, there's no H tree that I can see, okay? So, good and bad news. The good news is we can create elements, okay? But we haven't actually appended it anywhere. We haven't actually put it anywhere on the page. So do you remember in functions we saw that you can create or define a function, and that's great. But until you actually call or invoke the function doesn't run. It's almost a similar idea here when you create elements. Creating the element is the first part, but if you want it to be on your website, on the web page, you have to specify where you want it. And that is where the appendChild comes in, okay? So why don't we append our heading tree to the page? Well, what we can do to do that is we can say document dot body. So using dot notation, I'm saying to the document, access the body, and then body, on that, I want to append a child. So we can append child. So appendChild is another inbuilt method in JavaScript we can use to essentially append or add whatever element we want to the body. Okay, so how this works is you decide what it is you want to append something onto, in this case the body, okay, something, and then we use dot append child. And what do we want to append on? We want to append on this H tree that we've created, and we store that in a variable called H tree. So what we can do is just copy that, paste that in there, and now semicolon and save. So now what we've done is we've taken the H tree we've created and we have appended it to the body, okay? So if I save and refresh and we come back here, what we get, well, we don't see it first of all, but if we inspect the body, we open up here, you'll notice that we've added the H tree. So the problem with just appending that onto the body is it's quite random, right? I mean, we've just basically created content and added it randomly onto the page, but it doesn't seem to benefit us very much. So what we're going to do in the next tutorial is we might maybe get user input and then add that onto our list. We'll do something like that. But just before we finish this tutorial, I want to actually ask you if you can use the document object model to create a paragraph, okay? So it's all well and good looking at these videos, but we have to get you thinking. So please use the DOM to create a paragraph, and then what I want you to do is I want you to append it to the body in the same way we did with the heading tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all of that code, okay? And let's do this challenge together. So feel free to do it yourself. So basically, deleted everything. If I save and refresh, we've no paragraph there, okay? So what, and there doesn't have to be, text in the paragraph. Although you could, in theory, use the inner HTML if you wanted, but that's a skip ahead. For now, let's just create a paragraph and then append it to the body. So what do? Well, we know what we can do is we can say document dot create element. So we're using that inbuilt method in JavaScript, okay? And what do we want to create? We want to create a paragraph. So that's awesome. And then what I'll do is I'll take the new paragraph we've created and we'll store it in a variable. So we'll say const key is equal to, we can say paragraph. Okay, so we've created a variable called paragraph and we've assigned it the value of a new paragraph. So once again, remember, the paragraph is an element with both a closing and opening tag. So that's what we've created. Now what we need to do is we need to append it onto the body of the web page. So we can just say document dot notation to access the body, and on the body let's call or invoke that inbuilt method appendChild. And all we need to do is just decide what it is we're trying to append onto the document. Well, it's this paragraph we've created up here, isn't it? So if we just save, paste that in there, we are now appending the paragraph element that we've created and basically adding it to the body. So if I save and refresh, we should see a random paragraph. It isn't very helpful, but it's the first step. We're learning to use the document object model to create elements for the first time. So there we go. We see there, we've got our little p tags. So that's awesome. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. We learned that the document object model can also be used to create elements in JavaScript, which is pretty awesome. And we've learned how to append an element onto something else, another element, or in this case, the body, in this tutorial. So that's cool, but why don't we do some more advanced stuff and cool stuff in the next tutorial? So I will hopefully see you then for more document object model learning.